You will not always see the results of your effort immediately. And that is exactly where most people quit. This audiobook is your reminder, your wake-up call, and your mental reset. Your job is to honor the process, not chase the applause. If you only stay disciplined when progress is obvious, you will never build anything extraordinary. The people who win in life aren't the most talented or the most inspired. They are the ones who stay loyal to the process long after the feeling fades. From this moment forward, you will learn how to keep going, especially when it looks like nothing is working. This is how you build a life that compounds into greatness. Chapter 1. Stop expecting immediate results. You've been lied to about growth. You've been conditioned to believe that if something doesn't work fast, it isn't working at all. And that belief is destroying your potential. We live in a world trained to crave instant outcomes. You want progress now. You want change now. You want to see measurable proof that your effort is paying off. And the moment you don't see results, you start doubting yourself, doubting the path, doubting the process. But listen closely, that mindset is the reason most people never become who they could be. Success is not immediate. Growth is not rapid. Transformation is not instant. Success is delayed. Growth is earned. The results come last. This is the first mindset you must break if you want long-term change. Because if you only stay committed when progress is visible, you'll never stay committed long enough for progress to appear. You have a choice. You can chase fast gratification and keep quitting, or you can build a life that compounds into greatness. That's the key. Let's make this simple. Think about the gym. Everyone wants the body, the strength, the transformation. People say, I'll work out, I'll stay consistent. But what happens? They go for 1 week, 2 weeks, maybe 3. They step on the scale, look in the mirror, and the moment they don't see dramatic change, they stop. They quit. They tell themselves, it's not working. They expect to reverse years of neglect with a few days of effort. But the body doesn't work that way. Growth doesn't work that way. Progress is invisible at first. Your muscles are repairing. Your endurance is building. Your habits are forming. Just because you can't see results yet, doesn't mean nothing is happening. Say that again with me, because this line will follow you through your entire transformation. Just because you can't see results yet, doesn't mean nothing is happening. This is the mantra that separates people who quit from people who grow. Let's talk about investing. If you put a small amount of money into a long-term investment, you won't wake up rich next week. You won't see life-changing growth next month. It may even feel like your money isn't moving at all in the beginning. But if you stay consistent, if you stay patient, if you keep adding, the compounding begins. Slowly, quietly, invisibly. Then one day the growth becomes undeniable. Not because of one big decision, but because of small decisions repeated over time. That's the process. That's how success works. You earn compounding through consistency long before you ever see the payoff. And yet, most people abandon the investment too early, whether it's money, skill, or self-development, because they can't tolerate the period of invisibility between effort and reward. You need to develop tolerance for that invisible phase. Let's look at skill mastery. Whether you want to master writing, coding, public speaking, or art, your first attempts will be rough. No applause, no talent, no validation, no sign of genius. That's normal. That's expected. That's the starting point for everyone. But here's the truth most people avoid. The difference between the person who becomes great and the person who stays average isn't talent. It's endurance through the phase where nothing seems to improve. Every expert began with work that no one saw and no one cared about. Every master began as a beginner. You have a choice. You can keep starting and quitting, or you can persist until the invisible becomes visible. Here's the real problem. You're not addicted to progress. You're addicted to the feeling of progress. Those are not the same thing. Progress is slow. Progress is subtle. Progress is often silent. But the feeling of progress? That's fueled by visible results, compliments, numbers, achievements, milestones. If the feeling is the only thing keeping you going, you will stop the moment the feeling fades. And that is exactly why people never change. You don't need the feeling of progress. You need the discipline of progress. It's not about excitement. It's about consistency. It's not about motivation. It's about identity. It's not about results. It's about the process. That's the key. Let me be brutally honest with you. If you cannot learn to act without immediate reward, you will never build anything meaningful. Because the most valuable things require time. Strong relationships require time. A healthy body requires time. A successful career requires time. Inner peace requires time. Self-respect requires time. Everything great requires time, and time requires patience. You have to stop expecting immediate returns for your effort. You aren't owed fast results. You're owed the results you earn through consistent, repeated action. You don't need their permission. You don't need proof to keep going. You don't need a congratulations to stay committed. Your process is bigger than your impatience. Here's what I want you to do starting today. Number 1, expect the slow phase. Don't fear it. Don't avoid it. Prepare for it. Because it's coming. Number 2, when results are invisible, stay loyal to the routine. Show up anyway. Repeat anyway. Honor the process anyway. Number 3, when doubt shows up, and it will, remind yourself, just because I can't see results yet doesn't mean nothing is happening. This line will save your progress. This line will protect your momentum. This line will keep you moving when most people quit. You must learn to fall in love with delayed gratification. Because the longer you can wait for the reward, the greater the reward becomes. Anyone can work hard for a day. Anyone can stay motivated for a week. Anyone can chase a dream for a month. But very few can stay committed for years before the world notices. That is your advantage, if you choose it. The world is full of sprinters. Be a marathoner. Be the one who stays. Because the person who stays becomes unstoppable. Before we move on, understand this. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not failing. You are early in the process. Too early to see the transformation, but close enough to quit if you don't change your mindset now. Let this chapter plant a new belief in you. The results will come last. The process comes first. Say it again. The results will come last. The process comes first. And if you stay loyal to the process long enough, the results will not just appear. They will multiply. That is the power of trusting the process. Now that you understand the trap of expecting fast results, we need to deal with the second biggest obstacle that kills consistency. The need for approval. Because after impatience, the next thing that makes people quit is validation seeking. You mastered your impatience. Now let's talk about the need for approval. Chapter 2, Detach from validation. You are doing too much of your life for applause, for recognition, for approval, for someone to notice you, to praise you, to validate you. And that is why your discipline is weak. Because discipline built on validation will collapse the moment validation disappears. You cannot grow if you are performing for an audience instead of improving for yourself. You cannot transform if you need to be seen transforming. You have a choice, live for approval or live for growth. But you cannot do both. You don't need to be seen improving, you need to improve. Let that line hit, because it will save you years of wasted effort. We need to address the validation trap. This trap is subtle, addictive, and disguised as progress. It looks like this. You read one page of a book and post it. You meditate for 5 minutes and share it. You go to the gym once and announce it. You drink water instead of soda and turn it into content. You're not doing it to build a habit, you're doing it for credit, for applause, for proof. The habit isn't being built. Your identity as someone who wants to look like they're improving is being built. And the problem is simple. The moment you don't get the reaction you wanted, you stop. You only go to the gym if someone notices. You only study if you can tell the world you studied. You only improve when someone is watching. That's not discipline. That's performance. The work stops being about growth and becomes about validation. Let me say it again clearly and without sugarcoating. You don't need to be seen improving, you need to improve. When your progress requires an audience, you don't grow, you perform. When the praise fades, your habits fade with it. True growth happens in silence. True transformation is built in private. The most successful people you admire didn't broadcast the grind, they broadcast the results after years of unseen work. You have a choice. Do you want to look like you're changing, or actually change? One gives you likes, the other gives you a new life. That's the key. Think about a seed. It grows underground, unseen, unnoticed, no applause, no audience. But the roots are forming. The foundation is building. Strength is developing. And then one day something breaks through the surface. Everyone finally sees the growth, but the real work happened before anyone saw it. Your growth works the same way. The roots must develop in silence. But most people pull the seed out of the soil every day just to show others, look, I'm planting. Look, I'm growing. And that constant need to display the process destroys the process. Some of your progress is dying because you refuse to let it grow in private. Here's the truth. Validation is a drug. And like all drugs, the dosage must increase for you to feel the same high. One compliment was enough at first, then 5, then 10, then 100. You start chasing more attention, more praise, more eyes on you, until the work becomes secondary to the image of the work. This is how internal discipline dies. Because your standard is no longer, did I do the work? Your standard becomes, did anyone notice? And once that happens, your growth belongs to other people. It is controlled by their reactions, their opinions, their praise, or their silence. That is a prison disguised as motivation. The most dangerous part of external validation is this. If people applaud you too early, you stop too early. If others congratulate you for trying, for starting, for being better, your brain believes the mission is complete before it has even begun. Early validation kills long-term consistency. This is why silent improvement is more powerful than public performance. When no one claps for you, you learn to clap for yourself. You learn to develop internal standards. You learn to grow because it matters to you. You don't need their permission. You don't need their applause. You don't need anyone to witness your journey for it to count. Your progress is still real even if no one sees it. You don't need to be seen improving, you need to improve. Let's compare two people. Person A posts about their new habit every day. They receive likes, praise, and comments. People admire their discipline. But here's what happens. Their brain collects the reward before the work has produced results. So eventually, the motivation fades, because the payoff came too soon. They stop when validation slows down. Person B says nothing. No posts. No announcements. They work in silence. They keep promises to themselves that no one else knows about. There is no reward yet, so their brain stays hungry for progress. They stay consistent because the goal hasn't been emotionally completed by external approval. Months pass. Person A has stopped. Person B is transformed. Who are you becoming? The performer or the transformer? You have a choice. Here is the shift you must make starting today. Detach your effort from being witnessed. If you meditate, meditate for your mind. If you work out for your health. If you read, read for your growth. If you create, create to evolve, not to impress. Progress becomes permanent when the reason behind it is internal. Because what is built from validation will collapse when validation disappears. But what is built from self-respect becomes unbreakable. Here's your assignment for this chapter. Do this today. Step 1. Choose at least one habit and practice it in complete silence for the next 30 days. Tell no one. Post nothing. Seek zero acknowledgement. Step 2. When the urge to share your progress appears, remind yourself, you don't need to be seen improving, you need to improve. Step 3. Track your progress privately. Journal it, feel it, own it for you. This is how internal discipline is built. Repetition without applause. Consistency without witnesses. Growth without permission. Understand this. The world does not need to see your transformation while it's happening. They will see it when it's done. You are not doing this for attention. You are doing this to become someone you respect. Detach from validation and you'll finally discover who you are without an audience. Detach from validation and discipline becomes part of your identity, not a performance you put on. You just learned to stop expecting immediate results. Now you've learned to stop seeking applause for early effort. You are becoming dangerous, in the best way, because silent growth is unstoppable growth. Now that you no longer need an audience, we need to talk about the next level of discipline. Chapter 3. The boring work is the real work. Everyone wants greatness. Everyone wants to improve. Everyone wants to evolve into the strongest version of themselves. But here's the truth no one wants to hear. The work that creates greatness is boring. Not glamorous. Not exciting. Not dramatic. It's repetitive. It's ordinary. It's uncelebrated. And that's exactly why most people never reach the life they dream about. Because they are addicted to stimulation, not transformation. They want the feeling of progress, not the process of progress. They want excitement, variety, and intensity, not consistency. But the people who win in life understand one thing. The boring work is the real work. If it's boring but it works, do it every day. Let's make this as clear as possible. Growth does not come from the highlight moments. Growth comes from the daily grind, the invisible hours when no one is watching. Think about elite athletes. People see the game, the championship, the victory. They see the celebration, the highlight reel, the success story. But what they don't see is the boring work that built that excellence. They don't see the hours of footwork drills done in silence. They don't see the same movement practiced 1,000 times. They don't see the conditioning, the stretching, the recovery routines. Athletes don't train for excitement. They train for mastery. And mastery is built on repetition. Not on inspiration. Not on motivation. Not on novelty. Repetition. If it's boring but it works, do it every day. Let's talk about musicians. You see them perform and think they're gifted or they're talented, as if talent is magic. But talent isn't the reason they're great. Repetition is. Discipline is. Consistency is. Before the performance, before the applause, before the music moves anyone, there are years of scales, drills, and practice sessions that sound nothing like art. Scales. Scales. More scales. The same notes over and over again until muscle memory forms, precision sharpens, and mastery becomes effortless. The audience hears beauty. The musician hears the echo of every boring practice session that made that beauty possible. If it's boring but it works, do it every day. Let's talk about writers. People romanticize writing, coffee shops, inspiration, creativity, poetic genius. But real writers know the truth. Writing is rewriting. It's drafting, editing, adjusting, deleting, and refining. Over and over again. Great writing is not birthed in moments of inspiration. It is built through disciplined repetition of the most basic, unsexy tasks. Showing up at the page even when it feels flat, even when the words feel dull, even when motivation is zero. The first draft is boring. The edits are boring. The process is boring. But the result? A book that impacts people for life. The boring work produced it. If it's boring but it works, do it every day. The problem with most people today is simple. They expect every step of self-improvement to feel exciting. If the gym isn't exciting, they quit. If the new habit isn't thrilling, they stop. If the routine feels repetitive, they abandon it and chase something new. The moment boredom arrives, they interpret it as a sign that something's wrong, when in reality, boredom is the sign that something is working. Boredom means the habit is becoming part of you. Boredom means the novelty has faded and discipline has begun. Boredom is the doorway to mastery. But only if you keep going. You have a choice: chase excitement or build excellence. That's the key. Your life will change when you stop asking for stimulation and start committing to repetition. You don't need a new routine. You don't need a new habit every week. You don't need constant motivation. You need to repeat what works, over and over and over again. Success belongs to those who keep doing the right thing long after the feeling of excitement disappears. People fail not because the strategy is wrong, but because they don't stick with it long enough for it to work. Most goals die in boredom, not in failure. If it's boring but it works, do it every day. Think about how many times you've restarted something. Not because it failed, but because it got repetitive. You switched workouts. You switched diets. You switched routines. You switched goals. Not because they stopped working, but because the boredom made you abandon them before they could reward you. Constantly seeking something new keeps you stuck at level 1. Repetition takes you to level 10. Repetition builds discipline. Repetition creates identity. The boring work is the bridge between who you are and who you want to become. Here's what most people never understand. Greatness is not built in intensity, it is built in consistency. Anyone can work hard for a day. Anyone can commit for a week. Anyone can show up when they feel like it. But the person who repeats the basics daily without needing excitement, that person becomes unstoppable. Winners don't look for the best hack. They do the boring things better than everyone else. They focus on fundamentals. They master repetition. They stay committed to what works. You don't need a more exciting strategy. You need the courage to keep doing what works even when it stops being fun. If it's boring but it works, do it every day. Here is your assignment for this chapter. Do this today. Step 1. Identify one boring habit you know works. Maybe it's reading 10 pages. Maybe it's 20 minutes of exercise. Maybe it's practicing a skill. Maybe it's journaling. Step 2. Commit to repeating it daily for the next 30 days. No upgrades, no changes, no modifications. Do it exactly the same every day. Step 3. When boredom arrives, and it will, use it as proof that the habit is settling into your identity. Say this to yourself. If it's boring but it works, do it every day. Write that mantra somewhere visible. Repeat it until it becomes part of how you think. Because if you learn to embrace the boring work, you gain a superpower most people never develop. Consistency without excitement. That is where transformation begins. You have now learned to value the invisible phase of growth. You have learned to detach from applause. And now you understand that the boring work is the real work. This foundation is rare. Most never build it, but you are not most people. Now that you understand how to work without excitement, the next step is learning how to stay committed through the plateaus that try to break your progress. Chapter 4. Progress isn't linear. Keep going. You think progress should be a straight line. You think if you're doing the right things, you should see steady improvement, steady growth, steady results. But that is not how transformation works. Progress is messy. Progress is uneven. Progress is frustrating. It speeds up, slows down, and sometimes it looks like nothing is happening at all. But listen closely, that silent period, that still period, that plateau, it's not the end. It's part of the process. Most people quit during the plateau. Not because they failed, but because they thought the plateau meant failure. You have a choice. You can leave the journey during the quiet phase, or you can push through and reach the breakthrough on the other side. Plateau is not failure. It's preparation for your next level. Let's break down the plateau effect. Every new skill, every habit, every career path starts with excitement. You feel progress at the beginning. You learn fast. Your body adapts quickly. Your skill jumps rapidly. You feel unstoppable. Then it slows down. Then it stabilizes. Then improvement becomes microscopic. Then you start thinking something is wrong. That moment, the stall, the flat line, is where most people give up. The gym feels repetitive. The business growth stops. Your content stops performing. Your skill stops improving. Your motivation drops. And you assume, this isn't working anymore. But that assumption is wrong. The plateau is not a sign to quit. It is a sign to keep going. Because the body, the brain, and your results need time to integrate, strengthen, and prepare for the next stage of growth. This is the part no one talks about. Your breakthrough is being built during the plateau. Plateau is not failure. It's preparation for your next level. Let's look at fitness. In the beginning, your muscles respond quickly. The scale drops fast. Strength increases quickly. This is called newbie gains. But after a few weeks, the body adjusts. Improvement becomes slower. Visible results pause. This is the plateau. This is where people quit. Not because the method stopped working, but because the speed of results stopped feeding their ego. However, the people who push through the plateau build long-term strength, real muscle, real transformation. Their bodies begin to compound the benefits. The results that come after the plateau are far greater than the results at the beginning, if you stay consistent. The plateau was not punishment. It was preparation. Now think about skill building. When you start learning a language, playing an instrument, or improving a craft, the first level feels fast. Then progress slows. Words don't stick. Skills don't improve. Everything feels difficult again. This plateau isn't a sign that you're bad at it. It's a sign that you're entering a deeper level of mastery. The brain is restructuring knowledge. It's turning skill from conscious effort into subconscious ability. That takes time. That requires a still period. Quitting at the plateau guarantees you never reach fluency, never reach mastery, never reach the level where it becomes effortless. The plateau was not a stop, it was a bridge to the next level of skill. Plateau is not failure, it's preparation for your next level. You must understand the concept of delayed compounding. Compounding is not visible at the beginning. Compounding is not exciting at the beginning. Compounding always feels like nothing is happening at the beginning, but when the growth hits, it hits all at once. This is the breakthrough curve. Phase 1, effort with no visible result. Phase 2, effort with tiny visible result. Phase 3, effort with stagnation, the plateau. Phase 4, breakthrough, the sudden jump. The breakthrough always comes after the plateau. But if you quit in the plateau, you never reach the jump. The mistake most people make is assuming the first 3 phases mean the process is failing. They don't realize those phases are required for phase 4 to happen. The plateau is not a block in the journey, it is part of the journey. You don't need to feel improvement to be improving. You don't need visible results to be progressing. You don't need momentum to be building momentum. The compounding is happening beneath the surface. Think of bamboo. For years there is no visible growth. You water it, care for it, protect it, and see nothing. Then suddenly, in a matter of weeks, it shoots up rapidly, feet per day. Were those weeks the growth? No. Those weeks were the reveal. The growth was happening underground the entire time, rooting, strengthening, preparing. That is your life. That is your progress. That is compounding. Just because you don't see the growth yet, doesn't mean the growth isn't happening. The plateau is not the end. It's the test, the filter, the gateway only a few pass. The people who stop never experience the bamboo moment. The people who stay do. Plateau is not failure, it's preparation for your next level. Let's talk about careers and goals. Many people begin a project or passion with fire. The results start coming. Then they slow down. Engagement drops. Opportunities stall. Recognition fades. This is where most people pivot. They switch careers. They abandon projects. They look for a new path. Not because the old path wasn't working, but because they lacked the maturity to tolerate the plateau. Longevity belongs to those who stay. If you stop planting seeds because the first ones haven't sprouted, you'll never have a harvest. You don't need a new path. You need consistency through the quiet stretch of the same path. That's where greatness is born. Here's what I need you to accept. You will not always feel progress. You will not always see progress. You will not always be rewarded for progress. But if you stay committed during the plateau, your transformation will be far greater than the person who only works when it's easy, exciting, or visually rewarding. You have to learn to keep going when the results are silent. This is where champions are built. This is where identities are forged. This is where average ends and excellence begins. Here is your assignment for this chapter. Do this today. Step 1. Identify one area in your life where you quit because progress slowed. Return to it. Recommit to it. Step 2. When you feel stagnation, say this out loud. Plateau is not failure. It's preparation for my next level. Step 3. Instead of changing the plan, stay consistent for 30 more days. No changes. No modifications. No switches. Stay in the plateau until the breakthrough curve begins. You now understand progress that you cannot see. You now understand growth without applause. And now you understand the plateau that tests your loyalty to the process. You're becoming someone most people never get to become. Someone who continues without visible reward. Now that you know how to survive the plateau, it's time to upgrade your source of motivation, from emotion to identity. Chapter 5. Identity over motivation. Most people fail to stay consistent because they rely on motivation. And motivation is weak. Motivation is unstable. Motivation is emotional. If you depend on motivation to change your life, you will live a life of inconsistency, starting strong, quitting early, and wondering why nothing sticks. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your identity. This chapter is about the shift that separates temporary change from permanent transformation. The The shift from "I want to do this" to "this is who I am now." Because once something becomes part of your identity, you no longer need motivation to do it. It becomes automatic. It becomes non-negotiable. It becomes your standard. You don't need motivation when it's part of your identity. Let's start with a truth many refuse to accept. Your actions are not the problem, your identity is. If your identity is, "I'm someone who is trying to get disciplined," you will act like someone who tries. If your identity is, "I'm someone who is inconsistent," you will continue to act inconsistently. If your identity is, "I'm not that type of person," you will never become that type of person. Your behavior always aligns with who you believe you are. So the goal is not just to change what you do, the goal is to change who you are. Say it with me. This is who I am now. That phrase has the power to rewrite your life. Let's break this down with examples. If you want to become a writer, do not focus on publishing a book. Do not focus on being admired as a writer. Do not wait for inspiration or motivation to strike. A writer is not someone who publishes. A writer is someone who writes daily, consistently, without waiting for the perfect conditions. If you write, you are a writer. Not when the world approves. Not when you are popular. Not when the book is done. Identity first. Results second. Say it, "I am a writer," and then prove it to yourself through action. You don't need motivation when it's part of your identity. If you want to be fit, stop saying, "I'm trying to get in shape." Stop acting like fitness is a temporary project. Stop treating it like a 30-day challenge or a phase in your life. Fit people don't try to be fit. They live like someone who is fit. They move their body. They fuel their body. They treat health as who they are, not what they do. The moment you shift from "I'm trying to work out" to "I am a person who trains," everything changes. Now exercise is not something you force. It's something you do because it matches your identity. Identity creates automatic behavior. You don't need motivation when it's part of your identity. Here's the mistake most people make. They wait to feel like the kind of person they want to become. But you don't become confident first and then act confident. You act confident first and then you become confident. You don't become disciplined first and then act disciplined. You act disciplined first and then discipline becomes part of you. Identity is a choice followed by repeated action. Say it again. Identity is a choice followed by repeated action. You choose who you are becoming, and then your actions reinforce that choice until it becomes truth. You have a choice. Keep living with the identity that limits you, or adopt the identity that transforms you. That's the key. Let me teach you a simple identity shift formula. 3 steps. Do not skip them. Step 1. Declare the identity. Not quietly. Not timidly. Not with "I hope" or "I'm trying." Declare, "This is who I am now." Not someday. Not when you achieve the goal. But today. Step 2. Align one small daily action with that identity. Writers write 1 sentence. Athletes train 10 minutes. Readers read 1 page. Leaders make 1 disciplined decision. You don't need intensity. You need alignment. Step 3. Never break identity twice. If you miss a day, it happens. Humans mess up. Life interferes. But the identity protects you. Missing once is a slip. Missing twice is a pattern. Identity prevents the second miss. This is how habits become character. You don't need motivation when it's part of your identity. Let's talk about how identity makes you unstoppable. When something is part of your identity, you don't negotiate with it. You don't debate it internally. You don't ask yourself, "Do I feel like doing this today?" A reader reads, whether they feel like it or not. A disciplined person honors their routine, whether they feel like it or not. A healthy person chooses health, whether motivation shows up or not. Identity eliminates decision fatigue. Identity removes excuses. Identity creates consistency. Because if it contradicts who you are, you simply don't do it. You don't need motivation when it's part of your identity. Understand this clearly. Goals are about what you want. Identity is about who you are. Goals can inspire you. Identity transforms you. Goals create temporary action. Identity creates lifetime change. Goals require motivation. Identity removes the need for motivation entirely. This is why most people never truly transform. They chase goals but never upgrade their identity. You can chase fit, successful, disciplined, or confident. But if you still identify as the old version of yourself, your life will snap back every time. The outside changed for a moment, but the inside stayed the same. Inside-out transformation is the only transformation that lasts. Here's your assignment for this chapter. Do this today. Step 1. Choose one identity you are adopting now. Not tomorrow, not next month, now. Examples: I am a disciplined person. I am a writer. I am a healthy person. I am a leader of my life. Step 2. Write this sentence somewhere you will see every day. You don't need motivation when it's part of your identity. Step 3. Take one small action today that aligns with that identity. Not to achieve a goal, but to prove to yourself who you are becoming. Because the moment your identity shifts, your life shifts. You've learned to stay committed without results. You've learned to detach from validation. You've learned to embrace the boring repetition. And now you've learned the power of identity over motivation. You are no longer the person who tries. You are the person who becomes. Now it's time to talk about commitment. Real commitment. Not the kind fueled by excitement, but the kind built on staying power. Chapter 6. Stop switching paths. Master 1. You love starting. You love the rush, the excitement, the novelty. New goals. New habits. New projects. New beginnings. But beginnings don't change your life. Finishing does. Mastery does. Most people are addicted to starter energy. That burst of motivation you feel when you begin something new. The dopamine hit of possibility. But starter energy is not commitment. And if you keep chasing the high of starting, you will never experience the transformation that only comes from staying. Say this and remember it. Commitment means staying when the excitement dies. We need to address the truth most people avoid. You're not lacking potential. You're not lacking ideas. You're not lacking opportunities. You're lacking commitment. Because commitment begins at the exact moment excitement ends. Anyone can start. Only a few can stay. Only a few can dig deep. Only a few stick long enough to reach mastery. You have a choice: be a chronic starter or become a finisher. One leads to a life full of almost. The other leads to a life full of results. That's the key. Let's use a simple analogy to expose the cost of switching paths. Imagine you're searching for water in the desert. You dig a foot into the ground. No water. You move to a new spot. Dig again. Still nothing. You repeat this 10 times, 10 holes, shallow, empty. Then another person chooses one spot. They dig. No water. They dig deeper. Still nothing. They keep digging. 5 feet, 10 feet, 20 feet. Eventually they hit water. Who succeeds? The one who stayed. The one who dug deeper, not wider. Every time you switch paths, you go back to zero depth. Say it. Commitment means staying when the excitement dies. Look at your life and be honest. How many online courses did you start and never finish? How many business ideas did you begin and abandon? How many fitness routines, habits, books, or skills did you begin, then drop as soon as they stopped feeling exciting? This pattern is not harmless. It is destructive. It trains your brain to quit the moment things get hard. It destroys your ability to trust yourself. When you switch paths constantly, you teach your mind, my word means nothing. My commitment only exists when I feel like it. That behavior kills long-term growth. Because mastery requires depth, not constant restarts. The results you want, health, wealth, skill, confidence, purpose, they are found deep, not wide. Deep in consistency. Deep in repetition. Deep in learning from the boring middle, where most people quit. The middle is where growth actually happens. Not at the start. Not in the excitement. But in the grind. Mastery lives in the repetition long after the motivation disappears. Say it again. Commitment means staying when the excitement dies. You must understand the cost of switching. When you switch paths, you always start weak. You always start as a beginner. You never reach the stage where results compound. There are 3 stages to growth. Stage 1, the excitement stage. It feels good. It's new. You're motivated. Stage 2, The discipline stage, it becomes routine. It becomes work. Boredom sets in. Progress slows. Stage 3. The breakthrough stage, where mastery, results, and transformation finally appear, after most people have already quit. You keep restarting at stage 1. That's why you never reach stage 3. You are stuck in a cycle of exciting beginnings and disappointing endings. If you want a different life, you must break that cycle. Let's talk about the Master 1 principle. A master is not someone who knows everything. A master is someone who went deep on something. Stop trying to be great at 10 things at once. Start becoming undeniable at one thing. When you master one path, opportunities multiply. Doors open. Confidence skyrockets. Identity strengthens. Mastery in one area teaches you discipline you can transfer everywhere. If you want momentum, build mastery. If you want mastery, stay. Commitment means staying when the excitement dies. Here's the truth. The moment you feel bored is the moment most people walk away. But that is the exact moment you must stay. Because boredom isn't a sign you're on the wrong path. Boredom is a sign you're on the right path, the path where mastery begins. Athletes repeat the same drills thousands of times. Musicians practice the same scales for years. Writers write drafts, then rewrite drafts, then rewrite again. The greats are not great because they found a more exciting path. They are great because they stayed on the same path long enough to master it. Say it again so it sticks. Commitment means staying when the excitement dies. You need to become the kind of person who stays, who follows through, who finishes. Because your self-respect is built through follow-through. Every time you stay, you build trust with yourself. Every time you quit, you weaken it. Staying is more than discipline. It is identity. It is self-respect in action. Commitment is a promise to yourself, and keeping that promise is how you change your life. Here is your assignment for this chapter. Do this today. Step 1. Choose one path you are committing to for the next 12 months. Not 12 days. Not 12 weeks. 12 months. Step 2. Write this sentence and put it somewhere you will see daily. Commitment means staying when the excitement dies. Step 3. Identify one habit or project you will finish no matter what. No switching. No starting over. No chasing excitement. Finish. Because finishing is a superpower most people never develop. You've learned how to shift your identity. Now you've learned how to stop restarting and start mastering. The next chapter will teach you something just as powerful. How to stay consistent when no one supports you. Chapter 7. Embrace slow, sustainable growth. We live in a world addicted to speed. Instant results. Overnight success. Quick fixes. We scroll through lives that seem transformed in weeks, and we compare ourselves to that illusion. But here's the brutal truth. Fast, dramatic change collapses. Fast results fade. Quick success is temporary. Flashy progress does not last. If you want something permanent, something unshakable, something that endures, you must embrace slow growth. Slow growth builds strong roots. Let's talk about fitness first. You see a friend lose 20 pounds in a month. It looks impressive. Feels motivating. You want the same. You try the extreme diet, the intense workout program. It works briefly, but eventually you gain it back. Maybe more. Your body rejects the crash. The extreme is unsustainable. The fast results collapse because they weren't rooted in a lifestyle, they were rooted in a short-term push. Now look at someone who embraces slow, sustainable growth. They eat a little healthier each week. They exercise consistently, even lightly. They progress gradually. The weight comes off, slowly. Muscle builds, slowly. Confidence grows, slowly. And here's the difference, they never go back. The change is permanent. The roots are deep. Slow growth builds strong roots. Now let's apply this to business. Fast success in business can feel exhilarating. A viral post, a sudden spike in sales, a quick win. But businesses built on hype and shortcuts rarely last. They burn through energy, money, and focus. They collapse under the weight of their own rapid expansion. Meanwhile, businesses that grow slowly, steadily, and consistently compound their success over time. They focus on one product, one skill, one strategy. They improve systems. They improve customer experience. They reinvest profits wisely. Months turn into years. The results feel small at first, invisible even. But over time, these businesses become unshakable, profitable, respected, and scalable. That is the power of slow growth. Slow growth builds strong roots. Language learning is another perfect example. Some try to memorize entire textbooks in a week. They overload. They burn out. They quit. But the person who commits to learning 10 new words a day, practicing pronunciation, speaking slowly, revising consistently, over months and years, fluent proficiency is inevitable. Day by day, week by week, month by month, growth compounds silently. Suddenly, they realize they understand native speakers. They can hold conversations. They can think in a new language. No shortcuts. No dramatic transformations. Just small, consistent effort. Slow growth builds strong roots. Here's why slow growth works when fast growth fails. Sustainability. Small actions are easier to maintain long-term. Big pushes often lead to burnout. Resilience. Slow growth allows you to build mental toughness, discipline, and habits that survive stress and setbacks. Compounding. Consistent effort, no matter how small, compounds over time into results that accelerate dramatically after months or years. Fast, dramatic growth gives you temporary excitement. Slow, sustainable growth gives you permanent transformation. Most people reject slow growth because it doesn't feel like progress. They want the spike, the jump, the fast result. They want external validation. They want to look like they're succeeding. But the moment slow growth becomes boring, they quit. Do not quit. Do not be tempted by flashy shortcuts. Do not chase temporary excitement. Your goal is permanent results, permanent transformation, permanent mastery. Slow growth builds strong roots. The danger of fast growth is also psychological. When something comes too quickly, your mind doesn't adapt. You lack the patience, discipline, and resilience required to sustain it. Your identity doesn't change fast enough to match the sudden results. Slow growth, on the other hand, trains your mind as much as your results. Every small action reinforces your identity. Every gradual improvement proves your consistency. Every delayed reward teaches patience. This is why the people who achieve the greatest success, whether in fitness, business, or skill, often do it quietly, gradually, invisibly. Slow growth builds strong roots. Let's make it practical. Step 1. Identify one area where you are chasing speed. Maybe it's fitness, learning, or income. Step 2. Commit to small, consistent actions. 10 minutes of practice a day. 1 extra healthy meal a week. Saving a small portion consistently. Step 3. Track the progress privately. Avoid comparing to others. Ignore shortcuts. Trust the compounding effect. Remember, it won't feel like much at first. You might not see dramatic changes. It might feel slow, boring, even frustrating. But that's the point. Slow growth builds permanent habits. Slow growth builds identity. Slow growth builds results that endure. Think of a tree. If you try to force it to grow quickly, it snaps. If you water it consistently year after year, it develops deep roots, thick bark, and resilience against storms. Your life works the same way. Fast growth is fragile. Slow growth is strong. Slow growth becomes unstoppable. Slow growth builds strong roots. Now let's connect this to the previous lessons. You've learned to trust the process, detach from validation, embrace boring work, survive plateaus, and prioritize identity. All of those lessons are useless if you chase fast, dramatic results. The moment you try to rush growth, you undermine every habit, every effort, every principle you've built so far. Consistency over speed. Patience over excitement. Depth over flash. Slow growth builds strong roots. Your assignment for this chapter: do this today. Step 1. Choose one long-term goal. Not a flashy short-term result. Something that requires patience. Step 2. Break it into small, sustainable steps you can repeat daily or weekly. Step 3. Repeat them even when it feels invisible. Ignore shortcuts. Ignore comparison. Ignore impatience. Step 4. Say this line whenever frustration hits. Slow growth builds strong roots. If you master slow growth, you become unshakable. You are no longer vulnerable to the highs and lows of motivation, excitement, or fast success. You develop habits, skills, and identity that endure. You develop results that compound quietly until one day, you realize your life has changed dramatically. Fast growth fades. Slow growth lasts. You now know the power of patience and sustainable action. You now understand why dramatic results often fail while slow, consistent results multiply. The next chapter will teach you how to build systems that survive low motivation, so even on days when slow growth feels invisible, you keep moving. Chapter 8. Build systems that survive low motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Energy fluctuates. Life throws obstacles at you. And most people fail because they rely on these unstable forces to keep them moving. They say, "I'll do it when I feel like it." They quit on bad days. They start over again and again. That's not discipline. That's inconsistency. That's why they never get results. Here's the truth you need to hear. You cannot rely on feelings. You cannot rely on willpower. You cannot rely on luck. You must build systems that survive low motivation. Make your system stronger than your mood. A system is a structure, a habit, a routine, a framework that works even when motivation disappears. Systems remove decision fatigue. Systems remove excuses. Systems make progress automatic. Let's start with the concept of minimum baseline habits. These are habits so small, so easy that no matter how you feel, you cannot skip them. The point is to never break the chain. Even on bad days, even when tired, even when life sucks, you do the minimum. Read 1 page. Work out 5 minutes. Write 1 sentence. Review 1 note. Do the tiniest version of your habit. It seems insignificant, but this is the anchor of consistency. The momentum doesn't disappear. The habit survives. The identity survives. Make your system stronger than your mood. Here's why minimum baseline habits work. You never miss 2 days in a row. Consistency compounds over time. Skipping a day is normal, but if the chain continues, the habit endures. You reduce resistance. The smaller the habit, the lower the friction. Even when energy is gone, the habit is achievable. You maintain identity. Showing up, no matter how small, proves to yourself you are the type of person who follows through. Big effort is optional. Small effort is mandatory. And over time, small effort becomes big results. Let's look at an example in fitness. Most people quit exercise when motivation fades. They skip workouts. They feel guilty. They restart next week or next month or never. Now imagine a system. On bad days, you commit to 5 minutes of exercise. Just 5 minutes. Push-ups, squats, stretching. That's it. Some days you do only 5 minutes. Some days you go full 30 to 60 minutes. The habit survives either way. You see how powerful that is? Make your system stronger than your mood. Because when consistency survives, transformation survives. Because when the habit survives, identity survives. Because when you survive the bad days, you win the long game. Let's apply this to learning. You want to read more. You want to learn new skills. You want to improve. Some days life is overwhelming. You're tired. You don't feel like opening a book or studying. Here's your system. Read 1 page. That's the baseline. 1 page. It's ridiculous. You might think, that won't do anything. And you're right, it won't. Not today. But the chain continues. You stay consistent. You keep your identity as a learner intact. Weeks later, 1 page becomes 3. 3 becomes 5. 5 becomes 10. Compound interest in action. Your progress survived the tough days. Make your system stronger than your mood. Now let's talk about writing. A writer can have an epic idea, be motivated for a few days, and then hit a slump. A system saves them. Write 1 sentence. Just 1. Some days the sentence is terrible. Some days it's great. Some days it sparks a breakthrough. Some days it feels useless. Doesn't matter. The habit survives. The identity survives. The momentum survives. Weeks later, chapters emerge. Months later, a manuscript exists. The system carried the work when motivation was gone. Make your system stronger than your mood. Here's the brutal truth. Motivation is never enough. Willpower alone fails. Life will always throw obstacles. But if your system is solid, your habits are non-negotiable, and your baseline is unbreakable, you survive. You thrive. You win. Some rules for building these systems. Start ridiculously small. Start so small it feels impossible to fail. Focus on frequency, not intensity. Showing up matters more than doing a lot. Automate your environment. Remove friction. Make the system obvious. Place the book on your desk. Keep water in view. Lay out workout clothes. Never skip 2 days. Even if the minimum is tiny, maintain the chain. Celebrate consistency, not perfection. Progress compounds silently. Make your system stronger than your mood. Think about this. You will have bad days. You will feel lazy. You will feel tired. You will feel unmotivated. On those days, the system carries you. The minimum baseline habit keeps your chain intact. You don't miss a beat. Months later, you look back and see dramatic change. All because you survived the tough days. All because you built a system that works even when you feel like quitting. That is how winners win. That is how habits last. That is how transformation sticks. Make your system stronger than your mood. Here is your assignment for this chapter. Do this today. Step 1. Choose one habit you want to solidify. Step 2. Break it into a minimum baseline habit. Example. Work out 5 minutes. Read 1 page. Write 1 sentence. Step 3. Implement the habit daily. No excuses. No exceptions. Even if life sucks. Step 4. Repeat your anchor phrase whenever you feel like skipping. Make my system stronger than my mood. You've learned to trust the process. You've learned to detach from validation. You've embraced boring work. You've survived plateaus. You've upgraded your identity. You've committed to mastering one path. You've embraced slow, sustainable growth. Now you're building systems that survive life's low points. With these systems, you no longer rely on fleeting emotions. You no longer quit when life feels heavy. You are unstoppable because your system carries you. Make your system stronger than your mood. The next chapter will teach you the ultimate level of discipline, the ability to persist when life resists you entirely. Chapter 9. Fall in love with the process, not the outcome. Most people chase results. They chase recognition. They chase trophies like promotions, money, or validation. And when they don't get them fast enough, they quit. They get frustrated. They burn out. The problem isn't that the goal is wrong. The problem is that they attach their self-worth to the result. When you attach who you are to what you achieve, every delay feels like failure. Every setback feels personal. Every plateau feels like proof that you're not enough. That mindset is dangerous. It destroys motivation. It destroys consistency. It destroys your life. Here's the truth. You don't win when you achieve. You win when you're consistent. Let's break it down. Attaching self-worth to outcomes makes everything stressful. You wake up thinking about the trophy, the promotion, the scale, the number, the milestone. Your identity depends on it. And when life doesn't cooperate, your self-esteem collapses. You stop enjoying the journey. You stop learning from the process. You stop showing up when it's uncomfortable. But when you fall in love with the process, everything changes. The process becomes the reward. The work itself becomes satisfying. Results are no longer a measure of your value. They are a byproduct of consistent effort. You don't win when you achieve. You win when you're consistent. Think about athletes. They don't train for trophies every day. They don't feel accomplished each time they run a lap or lift a weight. They train because training is what athletes do. They train because showing up is non-negotiable. They train because excellence comes from repeated action, not a single result. When the day comes for competition, the results are a natural outcome of the process, not the goal itself. This is the difference between temporary success and lasting mastery. You don't win when you achieve. You win when you're consistent. Musicians practice for hours before ever performing. Writers draft pages that never see the light of day. Entrepreneurs grind through failures and experiments that feel useless at the time. Why do they keep going? Because the work itself becomes the point. The repetition becomes satisfying. The discipline becomes identity. When you fall in love with the process, quitting becomes impossible. Because it's no longer about what others see. It's no longer about instant gratification. It's about becoming the type of person who keeps showing up no matter what. You don't win when you achieve. You win when you're consistent. The danger of outcome attachment is also psychological. If you tie your self-worth to results, your mood will dictate your effort. When the results aren't immediate, you lose motivation. When the results are delayed, you doubt yourself. When the results are small, you feel like a failure. This is how quitting cycles form. You work hard for a week. You see no change. You quit. You restart. You repeat. All because you focused on the outcome instead of the process. Falling in love with the process solves this. When the process is the reward, nothing can stop you. Boredom doesn't scare you. Plateaus don't scare you. Criticism doesn't scare you. You simply keep showing up. You don't win when you achieve. You win when you're consistent. Here's the mindset shift you need. Instead of asking, "Did I achieve my goal today?" Ask, "Did I do the work today?" Instead of tying your identity to the outcome, tie it to the effort. Did I write today? Did I train today? Did I learn today? Did I show up today? If yes, then you win. Results will come. Progress will compound. Growth will appear. Consistency breeds results, not the other way around. You don't win when you achieve. You win when you're consistent. Here's a practical example. Suppose you want to lose weight. If you focus on the scale, you will get discouraged. Some weeks, the number doesn't budge. You feel like quitting. You obsess over results. Now, if you focus on the process, you eat healthy meals. You move your body. You hydrate. You sleep well. Some weeks, the scale barely changes. Doesn't matter. You're doing the work. You are winning. Over months, those consistent actions compound. Results follow naturally. The process becomes satisfying. Motivation becomes unnecessary. Identity is solidified. You don't win when you achieve. You win when you're consistent. Another example, building a skill. If your goal is to become a public speaker, focusing only on the applause, the audience reaction, or the number of events you book will lead to disappointment. Some speeches will go poorly. Some audiences will be unreceptive. But if you fall in love with the process, you practice daily, you refine your voice, you rehearse, you record yourself, you analyze and improve. Results are secondary. Improvement is the reward. The confidence you gain is real. The mastery is real. And over time, results follow. Consistency pays off. You don't win when you achieve. You win when you're consistent. The takeaway is clear. Detach your self-worth from results. Focus on effort, consistency, and repetition. Enjoy the work itself. Let results follow as a natural byproduct. This mindset frees you. It protects you from burnout. It guarantees long-term growth. Because no matter how slow the results, if you love the process, you will never quit. And quitting is the only real failure. You don't win when you achieve. You win when you're consistent. Here is your assignment for this chapter. Do this today. Step 1. Identify one goal where you are too focused on the result. Step 2. Break it down into daily actions. Forget the outcome. Focus only on completing the process. Step 3. Every day repeat this line. You don't win when you achieve. You win when you're consistent. Step 4. Celebrate effort, not outcome. Reward yourself for showing up, not for results. Because when you fall in love with the process, transformation becomes inevitable. You've learned to trust the process. You've detached from validation. You've embraced boring work. You've survived plateaus. You've aligned your identity with action. You've mastered one path. You've embraced slow, sustainable growth. You've built systems that survive low motivation. Now you understand the ultimate level, loving the process above all else. This is the mindset that ensures results aren't just temporary. This is the mindset that makes consistency automatic. This is the mindset that turns effort into mastery. You don't win when you achieve. You win when you're consistent. The next chapter will tie everything together and challenge you to take action like never before. Chapter 10. Trust the compounding you can't see yet. You've done the work. You've shown up. You've followed the process. And sometimes, it feels like nothing is happening. Days go by. Weeks go by. Months go by. You work, you repeat, you grind. You see no visible results. And it's tempting to quit, to think it's not working, to feel like all your effort is wasted. Stop. Because real change is like water under the surface. You can't always see it, but it's happening. You can't always measure it, but it's building. You can't always feel it, but it's preparing you for breakthrough. Invisible progress is still progress. Trust your process. Let's start with bamboo. Bamboo seeds are planted, watered, nurtured, fertilized. For years, nothing happens. No shoots, no signs of life. Some people quit. They give up. They assume failure. But beneath the soil, the bamboo is growing. Roots, strong, deep. Then one day, suddenly, in just a few weeks, the bamboo shoots up, tens of feet tall. Was that growth sudden? No. It was invisible. It was compounding. It was preparation. Your life works the same way. Months of invisible effort. Years of invisible discipline. All building beneath the surface. Then one day, everything becomes visible at once. Invisible progress is still progress. Trust your process. Think about money in a savings account. You deposit consistently. You barely notice the interest. Months go by. You're not rich yet. You're frustrated. You want results now. Then one day the compounding hits. The growth accelerates. Your savings multiply. All that invisible effort suddenly pays off. Your habits, your discipline, your daily choices compound in exactly the same way. Invisible progress is still progress. Trust your process. Content creators experience this every day. They post videos daily, weekly. View counts are low. Engagement feels invisible. Growth is slow. Months go by. Then one video resonates. Subscribers spike. Opportunities appear. Recognition arrives. It feels like overnight success. But success was never overnight. It was years of invisible effort, repetition, and compounding. Every small video, every small post, every small improvement, building unseen momentum. Your growth is happening even if you don't see it yet. Invisible progress is still progress. Trust your process. Here's the brutal truth most people don't understand. Patience is not passive. Waiting is not wasted. Consistency is not boring. What looks like stagnation is actually compounding. What feels like a plateau is actually preparation. What seems invisible is actually unstoppable growth happening quietly. You have to trust it. You have to believe it. You have to continue showing up when nothing seems to change. Because the moment you quit is the moment the compounding stops. Invisible progress is still progress. Trust your process. Let's connect this to the work you've done in this audiobook. You've learned to stop expecting immediate results. You've detached from validation. You've embraced boring work. You've survived plateaus. You've built your identity. You've mastered one path. You've embraced slow growth. You've built systems that survive low motivation. You've fallen in love with the process. All these principles feed the compounding you can't see yet. Every habit, every repetition, every day of showing up adds to the invisible momentum. One day, without warning, the results explode. One day, the transformation becomes visible. One day, you realize that everything you did quietly, consistently, and deliberately was worth it. Invisible progress is still progress. Trust your process. Here's how to apply this now. Step 1. Stop measuring success by what you see. The scale, the view count, the likes, the praise, these are distractions. Focus on the work, not the applause. Step 2. Continue your daily actions without expectation. Write your sentence. Post your video. Lift your weights. Practice your skill. Do it consistently, quietly, deliberately. Step 3. Repeat the anchor phrase when doubt creeps in. Invisible progress is still progress. Trust my process. Let's make it personal. Maybe you've been disciplined for months with little reward. Maybe you've built habits, shown up daily, and felt invisible. Maybe you've doubted yourself and wondered if the effort is wasted. Stop doubting. Stop quitting. Stop looking for immediate proof. Your breakthrough is coming. The roots are strong. The system is built. The compounding is happening quietly. All that patience, all that discipline, all that repetition, You cannot see it yet, but it is real. Invisible progress is still progress. Trust your process. And remember, visible results are temporary. They can vanish. They can fluctuate. But the compounding you build beneath the surface is permanent. Every day you show up, you reinforce identity. Every day you repeat your systems, you reinforce habits. Every day you embrace the process, you reinforce discipline. Months or years from now, the results will appear. And when they do, it will feel effortless. Because all that invisible effort will finally pay off. Invisible progress is still progress. Trust your process. Here's your final assignment for this book. Step 1. Identify one area of your life where progress feels invisible. Step 2. Commit to showing up every day no matter what. Small effort is enough. Step 3. Stop measuring by results. Stop seeking approval. Stop comparing. Focus only on the process. Step 4. Repeat this phrase daily. Invisible progress is still progress. Trust my process. And know this, the results will come. All of your consistent work, all of your effort, all of your silent discipline, it will compound. And one day you will look back and realize you have transformed beyond recognition. You trusted your process. You did the work. You persisted. And that, my listener, is where true mastery begins. Invisible progress is still progress. Trust your process. This concludes the audiobook. You now hold the principles to transform your life. Patience, consistency, identity, systems, process over outcome. Trust in the invisible compounding. Now it's your turn. Show up, repeat, persist, and trust your process, because everything you need is already happening, even if you cannot see it yet. Invisible progress is still progress. Trust your process. If you want more content like this, hit subscribe and join the journey.